On this video, I'm going to be giving you a free pick, a best bet in tonight's NBA game between the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors. So make sure you stay tuned to find out who I like and why you should be betting one of the sides in this game. So we finally made it, right? The final week of the regular season, 4 games left for each team in the standings. 19 of the 20 playoff seeds have yet to be determined and will be determined, obviously, in this final week. So it's an extraordinarily exciting time for both fans and sports bettors alike when you're talking about the NBA. Now, tonight's game between the Raptors and the Heat has the greatest playoff implications of all of the games on the card tonight. The Raptors are currently tied with Philadelphia for 6th in the Eastern Conference, but the seeds 6 through 10 in the Eastern Conference very, very log jammed. You have Philadelphia, Toronto, Charlotte, Orlando, and Miami. They're all separated by just 2 games. Now, Toronto and Philly, they're tied for 6, as I indicated. And the Raptors are only a half a game ahead of Charlotte, a game ahead of Orlando, and 2 games in front of the Heat, who are currently sitting 10th as a 10th seed in the playoff hunt. So one thing that's going to hurt Toronto, which I still don't understand, is they're 123-115 loss to the Sacramento Kings last week at home. I mean, I just don't understand it, but that could cost them their 6th seed, and they may be in the play-in tournament. So we'll have to keep a closer eye on that, but they may look back and regret that loss against the Kings. Now, I do have a best bet on a side in this game. I like Toronto minus the points. Interestingly, the market opened overnight. I believe I believe Miami was favored by 1.5. Now the Toronto Raptors are laying 1.5 points at home against Miami. I like this Toronto team. They're one of the most undervalued teams in the market this season, and especially currently. If you look at how they've improved year over year, you can't dispute the fact that it's been a great coaching job, and this team has really come together. Taking a closer look at that, the Raptors are the league's 5th most improved team from last season from a win percentage standpoint. They're the league's 3rd most improved team in point differential per 100 possessions at 6.3. They're 4th most improved in points scored per 100. They're the 8th most improved in points allowed per 100. It's what the Toronto is their improved depth, and they are that has really made a big difference this season compared to last year. And I think the Raptors, well, they're poised to break their 3-year playoff drought. So I think Toronto is the play tonight, minus 1.5. And I have some technical situations I want to share with you. So if you're enjoying this analysis so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. And let me know your comments and your best bets and who you like tonight in the comments below. I like to read those comments, and I will try to engage as much as possible. Toronto minus 1.5. I have 3 systems in my database that strongly support the Raptors. Let's take a look at technical trend number 1. What we want to do is play against NBA underdogs of greater than +1 if their season average point spread is less than +1.8. Since 1989, these teams are just 37 and 89 against the spread. That's 29.4%, including 30 and 81 against the spread, 27% since 2005. So we're playing against the Miami Heat now that they're getting to 1.5 points. They are the underdog. They fall squarely within this system. Now, these teams have failed to cover the spread by an average margin of 4 points per game over the last 37 years. So it's a really terrible spot for the Miami Heat now that they're getting points on the road. Technical trend number 2, play on. NBA teams that dominated the paint in the previous meeting, provided the opponent is well rested and the game is being played in April. These teams are 297, 235 ATS, 56% since 2011, including 230, 174, and 6 ATS, 57% since the beginning of the 2015-2016 season. Now, that is a very strong trend favoring Toronto. Technical trend number 3, this is the one that we're going to go against Miami. This one's play against Miami, NBA road teams in an Eastern Conference, Eastern time zone affair versus teams that went under the total by more than 23 points when they met last. So these teams with this system are 192, 251 ATS, 43% since 2016, including 133, 187 ATS, 41.6% since the beginning of the 2019-2020 season. These teams last met on December 23rd, 2025. And at Toronto, they won the game. They actually swept the season series, but they won 112-91 in Miami. And the total in that game was 227.5. So that game went under the total, falls squarely within the system I just read, that which plays against road teams. If they in their previous meeting they went under the total by more than 23 points. So that's a very negative spot for Miami to be in. Why else do I like Miami? Well, their defense has disappeared. I mean, they used to be one of the best defenses in the league for years, but now they've allowed 130.5 points per possession over their last 5 games. They rank 17th in opponent turnover rate. Opponents have committed just 50 turnovers in the last 5 games. That's 9.7 per 100 possessions. And Miami likes to run and get out in transition. And without turnovers, they can't get out in transition. And that's what they want to do. That's what their offense is based out of. They want to get out in transition and run with it. And without a high turnover rate, they're not going to accomplish that on the offensive end. Now, as I mentioned before, Toronto has completely dominated this series. They've met twice previously, both in Miami. Miami lost the first 2 meetings, 106-96 and 112-91. In both games, Miami was held under a point per possession in both games. And that's because, again, they were not creating turnovers, and the Raptors did a very nice job at not committing turnovers. That's only the 4th time. That's twice out of 4 times this season that Miami was held under a point per possession in the game. Also, only 5 times this season has Miami had their highest turnover rate in the regular season. 2 of those 5 times came against the Raptors earlier this season in Miami. I like Toronto minus the points. Lay the point and a half, whatever your book has. I think the current market I'm looking at right now has Miami plus 1.5. So lay 1.5 with Toronto minus 110, minus 112 as my best bet on Tuesday, April 7th. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to comment if you like the analysis. I want to know what your thoughts are, what your best bets are, who you're rooting for, where you think these teams are going to finish in the regular season and for playoffs. And I look forward to reading those. Thanks for joining me this afternoon on Wager Talk TV. Good luck, and I'll see you next time on Keim's Corner.